In today's video, I am going to flex test at least one retired Win&Win riser. This is the ATF that is on the draw board right now, the last chance power press draw board. And if this goes pretty quickly, I may do the TFT in the same video since they're both retired, just so we have some more data in our riser flex tests. So if you haven't seen my riser flex test demo video explaining how I flex test risers, I will put links in the description below plus a card at the top up there to the most recent one where I really explain what is going on using a Gilo GT. There is a follow-up video to that one actually flex testing the Gilo GT with some slight modifications. Quickly, what those are is the lasers are now mounted in the back side of the riser in the center between the limb bolt and the dovetail. Both top and bottom, all lasers are aligned left and right, so the deviation will be similar, and I will correct the distance to the target when I am measuring flex, so that way it gets a very accurate flex test that can be, accurately compared later on your own between risers to risers. So I've got this ATF here from Win&Win, no grip, brace height is the same that I normally run it, 22.5 centimeters. Tiller is 0, limbs are aligned. I will be drawing it back from the 0 knocking point level to the same distance at the same peak draw weight with the same limbs in the top and the bottom, the same ones in the same place as well. Using my stabilizer on my arrow hole reference here with the 3 lasers, top, middle, and bottom. The one on the arrow just to make sure that the actual target does not get bumped out of place. And that way we can measure top and bottom limb pocket deflection on these risers and you can compare them at home. So this is the first Win&Win that I'm doing on this channel and I'm very excited. This is also the first 25-inch riser I'm doing on this channel. So I am pretty much ready to go. Before I turn the lasers on, I'm going to draw it back to make sure that the draw weight is the same just so you can see it. It's important to note and I want it to be consistent from bow to bow. Peak draw weight's at around 47 pounds, as is the previous video. So the first thing I do is I draw it back, turn the scale on, let it down, and then measure the draw weight. So I got my mark here on my peg for my draw length indicator. I'll let the scale power up in 0. I'm going to tar it just to be sure. And then slowly let it down. Hopefully I didn't bump my target because that was all zeroed. And we're at 47.07 pounds. So pretty much 47 pounds exactly. So I had the bow leveled and had that target leveled to the bow. So I'm going to have to do that again. And so I level the paper, not the block. Level here on the paper, level here on the block. So I'm good to go. I'm going to make sure this starts at brace height or really, really close to it. I need to have just a tiny little bit of preload on it to keep the bow from losing its position in space. Okay, I have all 3 lasers zeroed on the crosshairs on the origin point. My draw board here set at 0 knocking point height relative to the center line of the actual plunger. I'll click the arrow in here for a draw checker, pull it back. Let me make sure we're still in film here. Got my mark on my draw peg and we can see the deviation here. It's pretty cool. Laser for the arrow is set at 0 so that didn't move. Just to prove a point, I will let it down and go back to brace height and you'll see all 3 lasers will go back to their origin point. As you can see, all 3 are back to 0, so I'll get it back again. I'm on my mark. I have my mechanical pencil here. All right, so I've got my marks for top and bottom. The arrow stayed at 0, so I don't have to worry about that. Let's see if I can get this on camera here for you. There's the bottom. Yep, so we're good. Actually, there was no deviation left or right on the bottom pocket on this riser. The top pocket definitely deviated to the left a fair amount. So each square that you see there is 2 millimeters. So, you know, roughly we got about 2 millimeters of deviation of the riser flexing back towards the archer on the top, and the bottom is about 2 3/4, give or take, or no, excuse me, 3.5, give or take, towards the archer. So the bottom definitely flexed more than the top, and the top also deviated slightly to the left as well, with the laser point heading that direction. So I need to now measure from my lasers to the target, so that way I can calculate the error in my tests when I post results on my website. So top laser distance to target is 90.5 centimeters, and the distance to the bottom laser is 92.5. So that is the distance from the laser to the target. So this bow is much more symmetrical compared to the Gilo GT. It's right about the same length as well, so they should be really comparable once I take the board off and measure the deviation. So that'll be pretty cool and pretty fun, and I'm excited to do that. And so this is a good example as to why I don't point the lasers on the wall. You see how they've changed relative to position to each other compared to when it's on here. You can see how they change. And then also, as this changes, let's see if I can keep it in frame. As I rock the bow up, you can see the lasers changing position relative to each other. So this is the reason that I have had to use a target mounted to the bow. Just a quick, easy way to show you. And unfortunately, I thought I was a bit better recovered from COVID, so I was going to be able to flex test the TFT in addition to this ATF. But these lights are really bothering my eyes and starting to give me a headache, so I definitely will, and so are the lasers. So I won't be able to do the TFT in this session. Now I need to note that, like I said before, I will never be comparing risers to risers. I'm just going to be posting data, and then you can make that deduction on your own. All of the data will have a very good centralized location on my website, jakekaminski.com. I will send out an email notification to everybody that is subscribed onto my email mailing list, notifying you when I add more risers, also when that is available, because it's not up on the website yet, but it will be. So if you're interested in being able to have access to this database for free, please go to my website, jakekaminski.com, subscribe to the mailing list. It's pretty much all over the website. And if you've ever purchased anything on my website, I think you're automatically added onto the list. But I'd go on there and just check just to make sure, especially if you're interested in this information. So anyway, I am going to head inside, and then I can measure my data, take a little bit of a rest, and hit it back tomorrow so I can flex test that TFT as well. But before I do that, I need to make sure. I need to write down the riser. This is the TFT from Win&Win, and it's a 25-inch, and the date is the 31st, 12/31/20. All right, and no X and Y flex for the arrow, and I will do the same exact process for measuring the deviation that I did in the previous video, and post my results for you to enjoy. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, consider hitting the subscription button and the notification bell, as well as the like button. I would appreciate it. Also, please consider supporting my channel if you head to my website, jakekaminski.com. There'll be info and links on Patreon, apparel, books, and equipment sales, PayPal donate button, a P.O. box to send things to, and above all else, please share this video because there's no better advertising than word of mouth.